it's Sunday night. We all have the Sunday night scaries as usual. We're
Yep.
gearing up for our huge ICSC conference next week. I can't believe it's here.
Yep. I
We're
already
rooming
have the Sunday
together.
scaries right now. That's the one highlight on the horizon is that we're living together in the same hotel while we're there going through absolute misery.
The funny
Oh my
thing is
god.
last year when we stayed together, I don't think we even really saw each other. We were in the
No.
same room, but it was like ships passing in the night.
Yeah, I would stumble in at like 2 a.m. completely drunk. No, all I remember is I was walking down Las Vegas Boulevard, literally down the strip with all my luggage in 100-degree heat in my heels, and I'm drenched in sweat. I'm getting like catcalled at every light. I finally get to our hotel and I walk in, and in the room, you have a checked bag. And I don't think you even brought clothes. There was, like, one change of clothes in there, and then everything else was, like, self-care equipment. There was a stack of face masks this big, eye masks. She had shoe insoles, the Theragun self-massager. You were
I'm
genius.
telling you, Delaney, by year 5, I could literally make a business out of how to get women through the most brutal 2.5 days of their life. I had such an insanely difficult first 2 or 3 ICSCs that I told
Yeah,
myself, I will
yeah,
never do that again. I will
yeah,
be as prepared as I can. And I remember you were like so exhausted the first morning when we were going to our
yeah.
12 hours of
We hadn't
meetings.
even started
And
the conference.
I was like getting up, setting out all the coffee, putting on my under eye patches, like I'm ready for the day.
I know. Thank God I had you with me. I
So,
had no idea what hell I was about to experience.
yeah,
And you're like, truly, you were the most valuable player on the team that whole
yeah.
weekend. You had
The
everything I could possibly need.
the MVP for any woman listening to this who is going to Vegas next week, I'm just telling you, comfortable shoes. If you don't bring comfortable shoes, you will
Yeah.
hate your life.
Yeah.
So, kinda don't worry how you look at all. Just wear the tennis shoes because you will walk miles and miles in 100-degree
Yeah.
weather.
Yeah.
And so,
But I
yeah,
also feel like it's so incredibly difficult to figure out what to wear because you have to like
I know.
be in business meetings with like 70-year-old men and then go straight to a happy hour event, and you wanna, like, look cute, feel good about yourself, but not feel like a
Yeah,
skank, and still be able to, like, be in professional meetings in the same outfit.
totally.
I mean, you're also in hot weather, it's 100 plus degrees, like,
Yeah.
th there
It's
it's
so
so hard.
difficult. If you
Yeah.
can't go back to your hotel, I would say put a pair of heels, like, in your backpack or in your
Yeah.
bag because you're right, when you go out to the parties, you do wanna wear heels, you wanna look cute,
Yeah.
but it's not as important, like, on the conference floor.
Right.
So you're
Right.
gonna be a veteran this year, your
I
2nd
know.
year.
It's finally not my first year, which is great. I'm honestly, I feel less scared because I went through it already, but I'm also more scared because I know
Mhm.
how hard it was now. Now I really
Yeah,
know
yeah.
how insanely brutal it was. When I came back, I was in a coma in the car, bro. I was a shell of myself on the drive
I
home on
will
the
say
5 hour.
the 2nd year going, that was the most terrified I've ever been for the exact same reason. I knew that I almost died the year
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
After you get through the 2nd year, you're like, "Okay, like, I've
I can
got
do this.
this." Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna have me there. I have all my self-care stuff in the works
Okay,
for
good.
us, so
Okay, good. Checks a whole extra bag just for the self-care products for a 2-day
I
trip.
know. I, like, left Vegas glowing with my
Yeah,
great skin, great hair.
yes, you looked amazing. What are you
Like
drinking over
rosé.
there?
What are you drinking? Margarita?
Yeah, exactly. How did you know? My favorite. It's
I
from
could
Trader
see the
Joe's,
green.
which everything but the bartender, it's like a little 6-ounce
Oh, I love
shooter
that for you.
of margarita. It's super strong, but it tastes fantastic. I'm on my 3rd
Okay.
one.
Well, cheers. Today is all about you. And so we're going to go
Oh
ahead and
god.
kick it off. Let's take a drink.
Oh god. All right.
Welcome back to Brick and Brand, a podcast at the intersection of retail and entrepreneurship. We're your co-hosts, Delaney and Delaney Roche.
So I am super excited for the episode today. If you are listening right now, buckle in, pour yourself a cold drink, get ready because we are going to get into all the tea, all the behind the scenes. There's going to be drama, there's going to be stories, there's going to be a little bit of everything today. And
Yeah.
the person we have in the hot seat is the one and only Delaney Roche. She is not only my sister, but she's my business partner. She's the brains behind Brick and Brand and everything that you see on the show. She is an icon. She's building her own real estate career. She is so many things. And this is the first time ever that she has been interviewed in real life for the public, and it's the first time
Yep.
for me also. So this is a pretty big deal. So Delaney Roche, welcome to Brick and Brand.
This is a huge deal. What an intro. Oh my goodness.
I
I feel
know.
so special.
This is the episode I feel like everyone has been waiting for. The sister that nobody really knows that much about. She's mysterious, she's cool, she's
Ooh.
calculated, savage.
Ooh.
And now we're going to know all the reasons why she is the way that she is today.
Calculated and savage. I'll take those 2 words any day to describe
Of
me.
course. They get you a long way in this business, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't show all
Mm.
your cards, you know? Keep it a
Well,
little bit of
Delaney, you've always
secret.
been a little bit of a mystery. And I know we say this laughingly, but it's true. You grew up in a family of 6 kids, as everybody knows, and as we've talked about before.
Yeah.
But you kind of had a unique journey because you were the 4th child of 6. So you were right in the middle of the pack. There
Yes.
was a lot going on when you were growing up. There was more than 2 kids younger than you because we often had foster kids and other kids in the family. So you were just kind of, you always referred to yourself as being kind of lost in the shuffle and lost in the mix. And
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I know what you mean
Yeah.
just observing you because it did seem like such a chaotic time. So
Yeah.
we talk a lot about childhoods and how they change us and shape us into who we're going to be as adults. So
Yeah.
you are one of the most self-sufficient people I've ever met,
Oh
and
my
you're a
gosh.
lot of things.
Thank
But
you so much.
tell us about growing up in the Roach household in Bakersfield, California, being that 4th child. What do you remember and what were your experiences?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to unpack there. How many hours do we have?
Keep it
Um,
short. Keep it short.
yeah, keep it concise. So I would say that I was the forgotten child. Being the middle child, I honestly think that I was just young enough to where I didn't fit in with you and the older 2 siblings. And so I would try and tag along in my diaper or in my pull-up, you know,
Yeah.
and be a part of the crew, but I wasn't quite old enough. Like, you guys were riding horses, and I wasn't old enough to get on the horses, or I
Right.
couldn't quite participate in all of the events. And then I felt like I was too old to be hanging out with the 2 younger sisters. So I was kind of in this weird limbo stage in the middle. So I ended up just being completely independent and very quickly figuring out how to make myself happy and entertain myself.
Mhm.
From hiding in the closet and playing with toys for hours by myself. I feel like from a very young age, I was like, okay, it's just going to be me. I'll figure it out on my own and I can make myself happy. I can entertain myself. I can keep myself
Right.
busy. I had so many siblings and I was never bored. There was always people around, but I didn't quite feel like I was close with any of you growing up in the sense that I was just kind of in that weird in between age.
Do you
And
feel like people didn't see you or didn't recognize you or kind of like overlooked you?
I mean, yeah. I always tell
Yeah.
this story. I don't know if you remember this, but when mom and dad would pick us up from sports practice and they would turn around in the SUV or the van and they would count the kids to make sure that they had us all. 'Cause it was counting. You wouldn't go by name. There were 6 of us. We were numbers at that point, let's be
Yeah.
honest. We were just a number. And so they would turn around, they'd go like, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay, we've got everybody. And
Did
then
this
I would be
happen? This is
on
a real
regular
thing.
basis, and then I would be left at practice because I was
Oh
the
my
4th, the
gosh.
middle one. Oh, we've got the youngest, we've got the oldest, we've got couple other heads in there. I think we've got everybody. And then I would be left at practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel like
Wait, before you move on, what would happen? Would you just wait there until mom went home and remembered and came back?
this is like so traumatic. I feel like I need to talk to my
I'm
therapist about this.
sorry.
No,
We'll book you therapy after the episode.
so we weren't allowed to have phones at this point. So I was fully stranded there, right? We didn't have any phones
Yeah.
any way to contact our parents. So I remember asking a coach or some adult at the event, like, can I call my mom or my dad on your phone? Thank God the parents had us memorize at least one of their phone numbers from a young age. So I was able to reach them. But I've vivid memory multiple times of calling mom and her not answering and just repeatedly calling over and over and over again. And then finally she'd pick up and be like, "Who is this? Stop calling me." And I would go, "It's Delaney. I'm still left at tennis
I'm your
practice. Like, can
daughter.
you come get me? You forgot me."
Oh my gosh. So interesting.
It
This
sounds
tells me so much
so
about you.
traumatic. I know. It sounds insanely traumatic,
But it
but I feel like it, without sounding too cliche, it really did
mm,
turn me into the person I am today. I am so self-sufficient and independent. I don't need anybody, and I feel
yeah.
I've felt that my entire life, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like that's so clear and evident in how you live your life, and it has been for a long time, is that you really don't need anybody and you give off that energy in a good way. And growing up, I always remembered you being, yes, self-sufficient, but I also remember the thing that stood out to me about you was that you had kind of this fierce competitive spirit and this I always just knew that, like, Delaney was gonna be okay. Like, I
Yeah.
remember there was times you would crash your bike and you would fall off your skates, or we would have accidents doing whatever sports
Right.
we were doing, and you had bad accidents, and I always just knew, like, Delaney's fine, like, she's gonna bounce back.
Yeah.
Whether it was stitches or a broken arm, you just kinda had this grit about you, and I do see that having carried through now into your adult life. Do you
Yeah.
feel like that's something that you've carried with you?
Totally. And I think that honestly, one of the most used adjectives when people are complimenting or describing me is resilient. I hear it over and over and over again. And I don't say that to sound cocky, but I hear it all the time. People say, "You're incredibly resilient. You just get back up no matter what." And I think
Yeah.
that it's such a superpower. It's amazing. And I've learned to just not let it get to me and just keep charging forward. But at the same time, I'm human. I'm just like everyone else, and it
Yeah.
still affects me. It still gets me down. And sometimes I think when we hear a compliment or we hear something over and over and over about ourselves that's reinforcing, "Oh, this is who you are," it's almost like more pressure to be that person. So since I was very little, it was like, Delaney's
You're
got it
tough.
figured out. She's tough.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
fine. You could do anything and she'll be fine. She'll get back up and keep going and keep moving. And I think you have to be careful because I've also had the other side of the coin, which is putting that on myself of that's who I have to be, even if I don't feel that way, because that's how people see me. And
100%.
that's not necessarily a good thing, you know?
No.
So there has to be
Yeah.
kind of that balance.
I think that there's such a danger in taking what other people say that we are, and they may mean
Mhm.
it, like, as a compliment, like, "You're strong,
Totally.
you're tough, you're resilient," but
Totally.
you're also allowed to be vulnerable, and you're allowed to be in pain, and you're allowed to not have it all figured out. And there is kind of this like protective armor, I feel like, that you put on sometimes because you believe that you are the resilient one. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, yes, use that to your advantage, but you also have to be able to know that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And you have had to learn that the hard way as I've kind of seen all your experiences through your life. You are now in this amazing place in your life. And I've seen you overcome so many challenges and accomplish so many goals. And I've always been your biggest cheerleader, even though I
So
haven't
sweet.
always been physically, near you. I always knew that you were doing big things and you have had a lot happen to you in the last 12 months. So from the outside, you continue to look very polished, very put together. Things look stable, they look great. Let's get real for a second because that's what we're doing on the show today. So tell us,
Love it.
what is something, or maybe a lot of things in your life right now that maybe look stable to the outside and to everyone looking at your Instagram, but what is not stable in your life? And what's something that people wouldn't know that maybe is going on behind the scenes of what looks like a perfect life?
Well, I don't know if I look like I have a perfect life, but I will take that compliment. Thank you very much.
Of course. You do look like you have
I'm
a
doing
perfect
good
life.
with my Instagram, my social media at least.
Yeah.
No, so it's such a good question, and honestly, I'm not even sure where to start. There's so many things. I feel like my life is so chaotic, but in the absolute best way. I'm building 2 businesses right now, which just a couple of years ago, I was on a salary position in a very comfortable spot. I knew exactly what was required of me. I knew exactly how much money I was going to make, no more, no less. And it was stable and certain and very comfortable. And here I am just a couple years later, and I have 2 companies that I'm literally trying to build from the ground up, and
You go,
and I'm
girl.
an entrepreneur, and I'm honestly more inspired and motivated than I've ever been. Also, my life is more chaotic than it's ever been. In fact, I was just catching up with someone last week who I haven't seen in over a year, and the first thing I used to describe myself or how I'm doing right now was, "I'm busier than I've ever been, but I'm also happier than I've ever been."
What a beautiful way to describe your life.
It's the positive way of looking at it. I feel like I have more
Mhm.
opportunity and more runway in front of me. I honestly feel like I could literally do whatever I want, and I did not feel that 2 years ago working in hospitality. I
Yeah.
feel like my time is the limiting factor when it comes to everything that I wanna build and where my mind is going at all times. I'm a visionary, and I'm constantly thinking, "How can I build this to the next level?" And I have to figure out how to best
100%.
distribute my time, in the things that are most valuable and that will the return will be the greatest. But
Yeah.
to answer your question, a lot of things are unstable. There's a lot going on that I'm trying to figure
Well, for
out every day.
everyone, yeah, and I know that we are on the show every day interviewing, talking, but we don't always spend that much time talking about ourselves and our actual
Mhm,
lives because we have so many wonderful people on the show that we're focused on.
mhm.
And so I do want to give the listener a chance to kind of get to know you again because we haven't done this style format in a long time. And so
Yeah.
you are in your second year in commercial real estate as a full commission only sales broker. And so you're in that beginning stage building up your career. You're building your media company. So give us a little glimpse into those first 2 years. How difficult was it actually for you? I shared this on my solo interview and I
Mhm.
was very raw. I know that it's been difficult. For everyone listening who is a young person going through this, what's the reality of the first 2 years?
It's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah,
I think everyone that I spoke to before when I was thinking about getting into it tried to prepare me and tried to tell me, "You're not gonna make any money for the first few years. You're gonna be basically have no life. You're gonna be just grinding nonstop for the first couple of years until you can kind of build your business." And you think you're mentally prepared. I, in fact, had the best opportunity to be prepared given that I have 3 family members in the business. Like, I had more connections and resources than most people do that are thinking about getting into real estate. I had literally 3 family members that I could pick their brain anytime I wanted, and I still
right.
feel like I had the biggest, like, shock, culture shock, like, just what the actual F am I doing? And that's just because there's only so much that outside people can prepare you on. Like, there's only
Mhm.
so much that you can prepare in advance. I think a lot of it is learned just going through the motions and figuring it
Just
out and
time.
struggling and
Time
getting
under
back up
tension,
every day. Yes. And just
like with a workout.
continuing to push forward. It's like a workout, literally. It's
Yeah.
like working out a new
Yeah.
muscle in your body. And so the first 2 years have been tough, very, very tough, but also so, like, rewarding and so fun and just inspiring and getting to see, like, what am I passionate about in this business? Like, how are the people that I'm learning from, how do they do business? And then how do I wanna operate my business? Because that's one of the
Mhm.
coolest things to me about real estate is that we all get to be kind of have our own business, even though there's other brokers that
100%.
could quote unquote do the same thing as you. The way that you conduct yourself and the way that you operate, that's your own business. And
Yeah.
so to me, that's like super exciting. Like the way that we get to speak to our clients and the way we go about transacting and stuff, it's unique and it's a little bit different from everyone else. And so learning
Mhm.
from other people, but also allowing myself to like build, be the person I am and let my personality show
1000%.
and build my business in the way that I want. So thinking back on the first couple of years, I mean, I
What
did
was
a
the hardest?
short.
Let's get specific. Like, what was the hardest about it? Was it the long hours? Was it that you weren't making any money? Those seem like the obvious things. Did you ever think about quitting? Let's be honest. Were you ever like, I can't do this anymore, even for a moment?
How
Because I
many
know I
times a
was.
week did I think about that is the
Yeah.
real question.
Did you
No,
question why did I get into this?
yes, and I think going back to just, who I am from when I was a little girl, I'm not a quitter. So, I've never really seriously looked myself in the mirror and been like, "Let's quit. You can get out of this at any point." I don't think I ever even allowed myself to go there. But there was a million moments where I was like, "Okay, I could definitely find a salary job that would be so much easier and so much less stress, and I wouldn't have to worry about when the next paycheck was gonna come in." I think the hardest part for me was finding the motivation every single day to, like, build your business. When I was in hospitality, I would go in and I knew what was expected of me and I knew what I had to do. And when it comes to real estate, you can go into the office every single day and work 50, 60, 70 hours a week, but not be doing anything meaningful or
Mhm.
productive for your business. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You can tell yourself, "Oh, I'm sending some emails and I'm doing some outreach," but you know deep down there's so much more that you could be doing. So, to me it was like believing in myself enough and then also having the discipline. Every day that I show up, it's game time. It's
Mhm.
like dad says, it's war when you go
Yeah.
in until you leave.
I want to double click on something you just said because I think it is so important and it's something I think about all the time is that you can be an incredibly hard worker at whatever it is you're doing and it is not the same as being successful in real estate
Yes.
because you're right. I look around and I see a lot of brokers that are very hard workers and it does not mean success because you can be
Mhm.
so busy and so many brokers are so busy but they're not making money. They're not producing new accounts, new clients.
Right.
Every single day, I have the same thing. I have about 15-minute drive from my house to my office. I typically am prepared the night before on what my priorities are, but in that time of driving, I'm getting myself ready. I'm gearing up my
Right.
brain and my mind to be you have to be on firing on all cylinders. Max
Mhm.
creative thinking, value add. It is the most difficult, but the most challenging and incredible business because of that. I'm very proud of you for recognizing that as a second year in the business because every day you have to go in with how can I add the most value?
Yep.
And you can't just push paper, you can't just answer emails. It's like, how am I going to execute my goal today?
Right.
And think outside the box. And it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of emotional bandwidth to do that.
It takes an insane amount of energy. I mean, by the end of the day, you're spent. But to me, that's a sign of I put in everything I've got today. I didn't just show up and respond to some emails and call some people back and check a few boxes. Why would I be in a commission only entrepreneurial business if that's what I'm going to do? If that's
A
all I'm
thousand
gonna do
percent.
or all I'm gonna show up as every day, then I might as well just find a salary job. I have this incredible opportunity with no ceiling on me for the first time in my life. What can I do to maximize that? But that being said, that doesn't mean there aren't days, Tuesday morning, where you wake up at 5 a.m. and just go, "Oh my god, what I would give
What do
to
you
just
do?
go in and, like, chill."
I
You
know,
know?
and to just check out and just
Right.
punch the clock through the day, right?
Right. Right.
So, what do you do on those mornings? And I know there's a lot of them. I
Yeah.
am one of the most motivated people I know, and I still have a million of these mornings where you're
Yeah.
tired and you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
How do you get yourself to a point? Do you have any practices or routines to get yourself from waking up feeling that way to when you have your butt in the office seat, in the seat of your chair, you're ready to go and it's war? How do you get yourself to that competitive point day in and day out? Do you have any tips or tricks? Is it music or what is it?
Yeah, music is a big one for me. It really inspires me and lifts me up and motivates me. So I definitely am listening to music on my drive, getting my energy levels up. I think waking up early and before I'm having to get ready to leave has been a big one for me. Last year, my first year in the business was full survival mode and I was commuting along a far drive to get to work, and it was very much like wake up at the exact second that I have to get up to get ready in order for me to leave on time to get to work. And it worked, but I by the time I got to work, I just felt sluggish, I felt tired, I felt like I was just going in to check another box, and this year, a big change that I made was waking up like an extra hour early, whether I'm working out or even just like going
Yeah.
for a walk or maybe just sitting on the couch and drinking my coffee, feeling
Yeah.
like I have that morning alone time to myself to mentally prepare and slowly allow my body and my mind to wake up has been hugely helpful because by the time I'm driving to work or I get to work, I'm so much more ready. I'm ready to go. I'm
Mhm.
fired up. So
Mhm.
that and then the last thing I'll say there, because this actually has been a huge shift in my mindset, is just reminding myself of what it felt like to be in a salary position and what it felt like to feel like I couldn't be promoted or I couldn't move up or there
Yeah.
there was a ceiling over me. And I remember that feeling and I remember just feeling stuck and sad and knowing that I could do
Mhm.
more, but I wasn't allowed to in the position that I was in. So even though it's really just a thought exercise, it really does help you to just remind yourself, I have a job and I can do anything with this day at the next 12 hours. There's no limit. And I'm my own boss. I mean, what's more empowering than that?
Mhm. We could stop the episode right here because that was so inspiring and so well said. To me, what I kept thinking was just the phrase like pressure is a privilege. And it's
Yes.
so true. And I did something similar. I love all of your tips in the morning. I'm the biggest morning person ever, and I believe mornings make champions. But when
Yeah.
for many years, when I would walk into the office and it would be 7:30, it'd be way before anybody was there. All the lights are off, whatever, 6,
Right.
7, whatever it was. And I would just think, another 12, 15-hour day, can't do this. And I started repeating to myself when I walked into the office,
Yeah.
as I was opening the door, walking in, this is where my dreams are going to come true.
Yep.
This is where I'm going to become everything that I can be. And not because of the office, not because of the company, although I love my company. It's because I am going to create that. And
Yeah.
it kind of reframed the pain of the exhaustion and the disappointment into like, this is my battlefield and this is where my dreams are going to come true. And so
Mhm.
having those simple thought practices is so important. I don't think as many people put those into practice as they
Mhm.
should. So Thank you for sharing that.
I got
So,
chills. That was, like, so powerful.
Thank you. It's so true. I mean, whatever you can do to get yourself into that fighting spirit every day because it's very
Mhm.
difficult to do. So, whatever it takes for you as an individual,
Mhm.
put that into practice. So, you are 2 years in, you know so much, you become incredibly knowledgeable. I've seen it firsthand. Do you still feel like in this business, we always talk about faking it till you make it, right? You don't know much, so pretend you do. Do you feel like the industry rewards confidence, or do you still feel like there's a very sharp edge to where if you aren't 100% competent, you are going to be found out very quickly? What's been your
Mhm.
experience with that?
Yeah, I think there's a fine line, but I do think that confidence goes a long way in our business. I really do. And standing on what you're saying holds a lot of weight and it goes a long way. And obviously, we're considered experts of our market. We are advisors. We can't be just spewing out random things that aren't facts, right? We have to be educated. We have to be
100%.
knowledgeable. We have to know what we're saying, and speak truthfully because people's livelihoods depend upon it. That being said, I do think that from someone who's new to the business and getting to know other brokers in the market and things like that, I just remember feeling so intimidated by even their tone of voice or the way that they would answer my questions on phone
Mhm.
calls or emails. And I remember just feeling like, did I ask a dumb question? Was that something I shouldn't have asked or I should have known already? Just based on the way that they responded,
Mhm.
when in fact my question was completely valid and totally fine to ask and appropriate given the context. So, confidence does go a long way. And I think, especially when you're in sales and you're consulting other people, we can't be wishy-washy. We have to be confident
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
know that, no, this is fact, and I know
Mhm.
my market, and I can confidently say that this is what I'm seeing, or these are the trends
Mhm.
that are happening. So, someone that's uncertain or is afraid to, like, strongly give their opinion, I don't think would do very well in this business because
Yeah.
you have to be able to speak up and be vocal and stand on business. Of course, you have to be knowledgeable at the same time, and it
Yeah.
can't just be hot air that that you're stating, but I do think confidence goes a long way. I've been told this from literally, I think, my first day in the office. I was told, if you don't know something, let them know. I will find out the answer to your question and I will get back to you. And that happens all the time. And I used to think, oh my gosh, I'm a failure if I'm unable to answer their question. When in fact, they're brokers that have been in the business for 50 years and don't know the answer to every single question. It's space specific or it's project specific. And we want to have as many answers as we can. But if we don't have the answer to something, being able to confidently look someone in the eye and say, I can find that answer for you and I'll get back to you, is
Mhm.
as
It's
valuable as
powerful.
answering the question.
There's a way to admit that you don't know something and
Mhm,
still be 1,000% confident. I think it's hard to
mhm.
do that at the beginning because you're so
Totally.
trying to know everything. And I am so thankful I'm now at the point where I had this just happen last week. I was on tour with a client in another state. And he asked me some stuff on the market and I didn't know the answer, but I didn't even have a moment of thinking,
"Oh,
"Oh,
I
I can't
should have
believe I
known." Yeah,
screwed this up." No, I
yeah,
was just like, "You know what? I've never heard of that before, but I'll look into it and get back to you." And being
exactly,
able to say that with confidence created no
exactly.
issue. Had I gone, "Oh my gosh," and maybe made something up or, that would have been an issue. So I think it's like you said, it's you can't have one without the other. But if you
Yeah,
do have competence and no confidence, I don't think you're going anywhere. So it's
right,
better to have confidence, be knowledgeable, but you do have to, your clients are looking to you for that guidance. So at some point, you do
right,
have to say, no, this is what I believe. Do your own research if you wish. Let's find data to back up my opinion. But
right,
this is what I feel strongly about. And that takes time. That doesn't happen in a couple of years. The fact that you're already feeling that confidence says so much about you and what you've learned?
Well, I think it goes back to how we grew up and mom and dad having us call to cancel our doctor's appointments or to reschedule a
Yeah.
dentist appointment. Or I remember if I was feeling sick and I had to cancel a tennis lesson, mom would be like, well, then you call your coach and you tell him that's on
Yeah.
you. And I was like 7 years old. Okay, can I use your phone? And I would call him and have to
Mhm.
tell him, I'm so sorry, I'm sick. I can't come in today. And I was terrified. But it's just being able to communicate and communicate confidently, and yes, to your point,
Yeah.
once you have that skill, it can take you a long way. Obviously, it has to be backed by
Yeah.
the knowledge, but
Yeah.
being able to confidently say, "I can get you the information that you're looking for. I don't have it right now, but I can get it for you." And then following up,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, I think that a lot of that was how we were raised. I'm so thankful to our parents. I remember the same thing. I would have to call Target and Academy and
Yeah.
wherever I wanted to buy something and ask if they had it available and what the price was. And I remember being in our living room library as I don't know, I was 6. I wasn't
Right,
very old, but
right.
I remember thinking, I'm terrified. I'm probably going to die from this call. Like
Yeah,
something's going to happen and I'm going to die. But
yeah,
you sit there and you're shaking because you have to do it. And it's you do that starting at 6, by the time you're 25 or 30, it's like,
yeah.
"Okay, yeah, I can basically talk to
I can
anybody."
call anyone at this point.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not gonna die, so it's okay.
That's so, so true.
Um,
I still have those moments making cold calls. Okay, I think I'm gonna
Me
throw up
too.
right now, but we
Yeah.
can do this. Like,
I
just
always
go
think
for it.
whenever I love cold calling, I'm kinda weird that way, but I still sometimes get nervous, and I always tell myself, like, "What's the worst thing that could happen right
Yeah,
now?"
yeah.
And the worst thing probably is that they start screaming and cuss me out and hang up. That's probably the worst thing that could happen, and I'm like,
And, like,
"Okay,
who cares? Who
I think I
cares?
can handle that. All right, let's
Right,
go." And I start to
right.
make the calls.
When
So
you
it's
put it, like, in a tangible way, what's the actual worst that can happen here, you know?
yeah, nothing.
Nothing. I don't wanna digress too much, but I at PF Chang's, there was a, time where a bug fell out of the air vent in the ceiling and fell onto a guest's plate.
Oh,
And the
no.
server came to get me and said, "Can you talk to my guest? A bug fell out of the ceiling." Imagine that, being at a nice restaurant, eating a nice, lovely dinner with your family, celebrating an event, and a nice big bug just falls out of the ceiling and lands in your orange chicken. I
Mm.
mean, I
Little
remember
protein, a
literally
little extra
yeah.
protein. That's all it is.
No, I remember the server coming to me and I just went, "I don't even know what to say." Like, what do you say in that moment? "I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Have a nice life. Please don't write us a bad review." I don't what do you say?
So what did you say?
You feel so unprepared. And so I literally you just go for it. You do the best that you possibly can and try to put yourself in the other person's shoes, but that repetitive practice from when we were young to then working in hospitality and just being put in those embarrassing high pressure moments of what am I going to say? How am I going to handle
Mm.
this? And then just making it happen, thinking
Yeah,
on your feet, you know? It's such good
1,000%.
practice.
I want to switch gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about what it is like in the real world to be a woman that is really ambitious and that
Oh,
has really
love
big goals for
this.
herself.
Love
And
this.
again, being a hard worker does not necessarily mean being ambitious.
Right.
I think being ambitious means you really have a vision for your life, whatever that may be that you want, and you are really pursuing it. And the problem can be that it can rub people the wrong way, and not everybody's on that same path. And so, talk to us about when you first realized, I am an ambitious person. Maybe it was after you left PF Chang's, maybe it was before, but when you realized you really want something more for your life. And was there relationships that were important to you that were damaged over that, or that maybe you lost completely over your ambition?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I know exactly when I realized this is the life trajectory that I have for myself, and not everyone is going to fit into that picture and or be a part of my life long term because of my ambition and my drive.
Right.
And I think it kind of goes back to my college years. I was studying medicine I thought I wanted to be a physician's assistant, so I was deep in organic chemistry and all these science classes. And I was working at the restaurant at the time because I had to pay for my rent. So I was working after school every single night and all weekend. And then I also was
Was this while you were in PA school?
while I was in school. Yeah, no, I
Okay.
was a full-time student, and studying medicine, which is not that certain careers aren't difficult, but it's one of the harder
Very
of study. And then I was working probably 30, 40 hours a week. And then I got a second job because I had to get clinical hours for PA school. So I had two jobs and then I was a full-time student.
How was that
And
even possible? Were you sleeping at all? Like, walk us through the
no,
logistics of
no, I
this.
wasn't
Not
sleeping.
at
I
all.
literally wasn't sleeping. I have photos on my phone
Okay.
of myself at 2 a.m. getting off of my restaurant job, studying for an organic chemistry exam the next morning. I mean, it was full survival mode.
Wait, can
I
I ask a question? Because I'm genuinely curious. Why were you did you not have support or did you not want to ask for it? Or why were you working so much while you were in school?
Yeah, it's a great question. That's another can of worms. When I turned 16, I got my license on my 16th birthday. And I made a pact with myself that I would ask for help the least amount possible moving forward. I've got my license. I can now get a job. And therefore, I'm not going to be dependent on anyone. I'm going to figure it out.
Sure.
I've got it. So I was 16 to the day going out, applying for jobs. And I've never not had a job since then. In fact, most of the time I've had two. So I had support in college from our parents, and they were definitely helping me pay for the schooling and some of the heavier stuff. But I wanted to take as much load as possible. And that's just like how I've been since I was little. I don't want to ask for help.
Yeah.
I have this
Back
weird
to the
thing where I don't want to
self-sufficiency.
be in debt to anyone and I don't want to have to
Mm.
rely on anyone. I want what I build to be for me and that's it. Nobody can take it
Yeah.
from me,
I can
period.
relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing all of this, you're killing yourself. At what moment did you realize, like,
Yeah.
I want to do things?
Well, I was working 2 jobs, full-time in school. Really was, like, barely sleeping, like, literally just getting by, and I was living with, like, 7 girls at the time, and they were all some of my best friends from college. I started to sense kind of drift in our relationships. I was getting from them that I wasn't present enough or I wasn't around and I wasn't being as good of a friend as I should have been. And there's certainly some truth in
Mm.
that. And I took it as best I could as like positive feedback moving forward. But at the same time, I knew deep down that I had different goals for myself and I had different dreams, and I wasn't going to sacrifice either of my jobs or my grades at the time to
Yeah.
make a friend feel better. And I'm not necessarily saying that's the right
Mhm.
thing. That's just where I was at mentally.
Sure.
This is my time to grind and to get good grades and make money and set myself up as as possible for my future career. And my friends will come after that. And that's just the way it's going to
Mhm.
be. And that didn't work out for a lot of my friends. It wasn't okay for
Yeah.
them. Some relationships that were broken and some drifts and friendships and things like that where I think they felt like I wasn't being enough of a friend or showing up or spending as much time as I should have with them. And in my mind, I was like, no, I love you as much as I've always loved you. I just have to do this for myself and I have to
Mhm.
set myself up for my future. And so that was the first time I remember experiencing it, but I've continued to see it in relationships, like romantic relationships and
Yeah.
friendships since then. I do think now where I'm at in my life, I'm much more comfortable with that. And I'm self-aware enough to make friends and make relationships with people that are supportive of that rather
Yeah.
than see it as a negative or see it as, oh, you don't love me because I'm not your first priority. Now I'm able to find people and have people in my life respect that part of me and honor that part of me that I'm driven and I'm gonna go 100 miles an
Mhm.
hour no matter what. But it's taken a very long time, and I've lost some really close friends over that, and I've ended relationships over that or over partners that felt, like, competitive or felt, like,
Mhm.
insecure about the fact that I was more driven than they were. So it's definitely been a learning curve. I haven't I don't have it all figured out. It's kinda something you learn as you
Yeah.
go. But I'm
It's a
imagining
real
you experienced something very similar.
Yeah, it's just such a good thing to talk about, I think, because it's such a real thing, and I
It's
think anyone
real.
who's driven and is pushing forward is experiencing this, but it can be really painful when you lose a close friend, or especially when you feel like
Yeah.
maybe it was something you did, like, "I really wasn't a good friend,
Yeah.
I didn't show up," and you feel bad. And it's hard, and those are painful things, and so, for me, I feel like it's this idea that I'm probably gonna have a lot less friends than I did at one point,
Right.
but the ones that really love me want what's best for me, and they wanna support me as I grow, and they want me to go after my dreams, and, you kinda have to make peace with that. I'm okay
Mhm.
with this person maybe not being as close as they were, because
Mhm.
you wanna surround yourself with people who have even bigger dreams than you, right? Because 'Cause you're always gonna
Mhm.
fall to the level of the people you're around, so
Yep.
I when I know that people don't have big dreams and they are turned off by what I'm doing, yes, there is some sadness there because you cared about that person, but you just have to recognize that there'll be more people. There's plenty of people on the other side that will be encouraging you and excited for
Mhm.
you and pushing you forward, so
Mhm.
it's something I think you have to do, and I have a very vivid memory in college, what reminded me what you talked about with your friends, where I was waiting tables every night. I would take classes from, like, 8 to 3, and then I would go and,
Yeah.
I would wait tables and do cocktail waitressing and all this stuff, and I remember getting home one night, and I had a big test the next day, so I was getting home at, like, 12 or 1, and I had to go
Yeah.
study because I had a test. And
Right.
in my apartment were all my friends who I loved, and I cared about them deeply, and they were all drinking and partying,
Yeah.
and when I walked in my apron and my dirty clothes,
Right.
they didn't say like, "Oh my gosh, what can I get you? Like, so how was your day at work?" They started making fun of me. "Why do you work so much? You're no fun anymore.
Mm.
Why don't you just hang out with us? You're no fun." And I remember it was hurt me so much, and I went upstairs and I was cried and I started to study and I thought, "This is not alignment at all." And
Yeah.
that was kind of my
Yeah.
first experience at maybe 19 or 20 of like, these aren't the type of people that I want with me for the long term. So it's just such a reality, I think, for so many of
Yeah.
us.
No, I can relate to that on such a deep level. I think the exact same thing happened to me multiple times. And it was always, why are you working so much? Why are you doing this? Why are you putting yourself through this? And yet, my name was the one on the lease for all of us
Of
in the
course.
house.
Yeah.
My name was the one on the SDG&E bill. My
Yeah.
name was, you know what I mean? And I think especially with women, there's such a expectation around who women should be and what our priorities should be. And I think it's so good to talk about this, that some women can be more focused on their careers, and that's just as
Mhm.
valuable as wanting to be a mom. And maybe somebody wants to
1,000%.
focus on their career and also be a mom, and that's great too. There's no wrong way to do it, or there shouldn't be an order of this should come and then this should be happen next and then you should get married and then I just think it's different for every woman. We should be past that. We should be past putting each other in a box or bringing
Yeah.
each other down
Mm.
to go, "Oh, your life goal isn't to be a stay-at-home mom, then you suck." We've gotta be
Yeah.
past that, you know? Let's lift each other
Yeah.
up and respect that each of us has different passions, and I was in a relationship where I felt like I was constantly being asked, "How much longer are you gonna be at work? Are you gonna be home soon? Why are you working so long?" And I would vent or I would say something about how I had a hard day, and the response, instead of just listening or maybe saying, "Good job, I'm proud of you for getting through that," the response I got
Mm.
was, "Well, you do this to yourself.
Ugh.
You shouldn't be working this hard," or, "You could come home earlier," or, "You could give less
Mm.
of yourself,
That's
and maybe it
just
wouldn't be so
so
draining."
bad.
And to have it to sit
It's
and listen to that as your partner, that
mhm.
should ring some alarm bells of like,
Yes.
this is not right. This is not who
I've
I
had
should be
that
coming home
in
to.
my life also, and I know I've
Yeah.
told you about those experiences. I now have a partner that when I'm working late, I say, "I'm not gonna be home till 9. I'm grinding." He goes, "Keep going, don't give up.
Proud of you.
Keep
Ugh,
grinding." And he doesn't say, "Come home, make me
I just
dinner.
got
Why aren't you home?"
chills. I just got
And it's
chills.
such a small thing, but as someone who's
Yeah.
so driven, it means the world to have
Means
someone
the
go,
world.
"I'm with you, I'm pushing, I'm gonna stay late also. Let's push together." It's such a
Yes.
beautiful gift. And
Yes.
I was listening, I don't know if you know who Emma Grady is. She's
Mm-mm.
incredible. Look her up if you don't know
Okay.
who she is. But she's partnered with Kim Kardashian on the Skims and Good America, and she just released a book called Starting with You. And she was being interviewed by Oprah the other day, and I was listening, and she was talking about women having children. She has 4 beautiful children, and Oprah was saying, like, "How do you manage all of this? How do you run all these companies and have your kids?" And she said something that I just so related to. She said, "I was never meant to be my kids' everything. I spend
Mm,
quality time with my children. They see me pursuing my dreams. They know they're loved and they're cared
mhm,
for, but
mhm,
they don't need for me to be there 24/7 catering
mhm.
to their every need. That wasn't how I was raised. That's not how they need to be raised."
Right,
And it felt for me as someone who does want children and who feels that pull of if you're not a stay-at-home mom, you're not good.
right.
It felt so freeing. Their kids don't need that.
Yeah,
They need love, they need attention, but you can still pursue your dreams, and that's the message I want to go into the world more and more, is that
yeah,
you either can do both or you can just do whatever you want, really.
yeah,
You don't have to do any one
yeah.
thing, and I think women need to hear that message more.
They do. I totally agree.
1,000%. Delaney, you have a lot going on in your life. You have so many dreams. Tell me about your future. If you zoom out 5, 10 years from now, what is the ideal future for you? Let's say 5 to 10 years from now. What do you hope to accomplish? Where would you be in life if everything works out? Which I know it will.
It's gonna work out better than I have it planned, for starters,
For
but
sure. For sure.
um, well, my real estate business is gonna be 5x what it is today. That's easy, obviously. I'm gonna continue to build my real estate business. I'm doing more business in other markets right now, which is so fun, and I've been able to collaborate a little bit with dad on, like, some development projects and stuff, so I'm really
Love that.
expanding my knowledge, and I'm having the best time. I honestly love to learn, and listening to someone like our dad who's just a genius talk about development and how shopping centers come to be
He's incredible.
is so inspiring. In fact, I have to say something funny. Recently, we've started 1-hour lessons per week. We meet 1 hour per week, and he teaches me development. And last week we were in a meeting and he won't let me talk about anything personal. When we go into the conference room, it's business only. I'll be like,
I
"Dad,
love
how's
it,
your day
as it should
going?" And
be.
he's like, "Honey, we're not in here to talk about personal life. Like this is business only." The first lesson I was trying to take notes on things he was saying because he was just throwing out words that I'd never heard of. And I started to take notes and he starts quizzing me and he goes, "So how many square feet is in 12 acres? Do it in your head."
In your
And
head?
and I literally panicked. I was like, "Dad, I don't know. How can I
I
pull up
would
my calculator?" And he looked at me dead in the eye and he goes, "That's disappointing. You need to know that in your head. We gotta get you on some flashcards." And I
Oh
thought it
my
was the
gosh.
funniest thing, but I'm like, "That's our dad." I couldn't be more proud and more appreciative that that's our dad. What a cool mentor and father figure to have. And so, anyways, to answer your question, for the next 5 years plus, I am such a creative at heart, and Brick and Brand is so incredibly inspiring to me. I have the most fun working on it, thinking about it, interviewing people, thinking about what kind of content we're going to put out or who we're going to show up as when we're building this brand. And so to me, that's super, super inspiring. So my goals for Brick and Brand are like endless. I think we're gonna have a TV show within the next couple of years. I think there's gonna be a camera crew following us around into our offices. Seriously.
I
Um,
think this is a little teaser to the listener on what we're working on, so
yeah. There's a lot coming, and I know that there's no one else in the world that I would build this with other than you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Oh,
There's no
thank
one
you.
that inspires me and encourages me to keep going more than you, and it's not because of
Thank
the way you speak,
you.
it's more so how you act. You show it with your actions, and you show up first, and then I'm like, "The fuck am I doing? I better show up," Like, I better get my
I
shit
gotta get out of
together.
bed and get to the
Yeah.
office. Yeah.
'Cause she's already
Yeah, we
grinding.
push each other.
We push each
Yeah.
other. So I'm just, like, so thankful for you, and I know that Brick& and Brand is gonna be everywhere in a couple of years. Everywhere.
Yeah. I think we both know that we love real estate, we love our clients, we love making deals and
Mhm.
changing the landscape of retail and brick and mortar, but I think we both know there's so much more than that,
Mhm.
and there's such an opportunity in this field that is untapped, and I think that's what we're both so excited about,
Mhm.
is just taking this and evolving it into something that no one's ever seen before, so I'm right there
Get
with you,
ready.
sis, let's do
Get ready,
it.
everyone.
So I do not want this to come to an end because you are so inspiring. Your
Mm.
energy is contagious. I know that the listener is going to just be wanting to hear more and more. But leave us with something for everybody listening. What is one last closing thought or statement or something you want to share with people that you think would be helpful and that comes from the heart?
Okay, I didn't really prepare for this. It's a great
I like
question,
to keep
though.
you on your toes.
Yeah, no, I love it. Something that I could leave everyone with. I love asking people this question that we interview because I'm genuinely so curious and I love to hear people's take on it. What would you tell your younger self? Just a quick story. When I was at PF Chang's, I was the only female manager there. And so I was
Mm,
doing a lot of our marketing, a lot. And we had a full marketing team, but at the store level, there was a lot of things, a Valentine's menu or Lunar New Year or little events that we would have that I would end up taking on the load for the planning and the marketing and making sure
sure.
everything went well. And I had 0 qualifications for this. I didn't study marketing in school. I don't know anything. I don't know where to even start. But I knew the experience that I wanted people to have when they walked in or they encountered our brand or they walked into the restaurant and had dinner. I knew what I wanted them to feel, and so I would put myself in their shoes, and then I would work backwards from there. What's the
Mm,
first thing you see when you walk in? Okay, there's balloons, there's
mhm.
this, there's the music is like this, the lighting, and then I would continue to work backwards from there down to the menu. It's all interacting with you as a brand. And so I ended up doing so much marketing, they offering me a corporate marketing position to run the marketing for the entire
Mm.
West Coast. And I remember being on
Wow,
my
I didn't know
interview
that.
call. Yeah, I remember being on my interview call and going, "You know I didn't study marketing, right? I don't have any qualifications for this." And she goes, "No, I know,
They're
but
like, "We
we've
don't care."
we've seen your work and we've seen how you've helped the metrics or your numbers in your restaurant, so we know you're
Mhm.
qualified." And I didn't take the position, but it was a small thing, but in the grand scheme of my life, I've taken it with me and that show up before you're ready.
Mhm.
Even if you don't feel like you're
1,000%.
fully qualified for something, just show up and do your best and put in the effort, and a lot of times you can fake it till you make it. And if you're willing to really put in the work, you could do a good job. So, that's my advice.
That is incredible advice. I think everyone needs to hear that. Go out there, don't compare yourself to others. Go out,
Yeah.
put the work in, show up,
Yeah.
do the best you can, no matter what your role is, and be passionate about it. Delaney Roche, I am
Ah,
so thankful that you are my sister and that you are the co-founder of Brick and Brand. I am going to get emotional saying this, but people are going to see you all over in media and real estate. Your future is so bright, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you for being on today. I'm seriously getting emotional. Cut me off.
aw.
This was so wonderful,
No, give
and
her
you're
another
truly
drink.
so inspiring.
Thank you, queen. There's no one else I would build this with. No one else in the world. You're my best friend and the best business partner I could ever imagine. So, thank you for such an incredible interview and making me
You.
feel so special in the hot seat. Ah, what a
Of
privilege.
course. We love you so much. I hope the hot seat wasn't too stressful, but Brick and Brand loves you. And everyone, we will see you next time on Brick and Brand.